You gotta understand, 1943 was a tough year. America was deep in World War II, fighting a war on two fronts. Everything was about the war effort. Factories that used to make cars were now building tanks and planes. Women went to work in factories, earning the name Rosie the Riveter. People at home were rationing everything from sugar and gasoline to meat and coffee. It was a time when every single person had to chip in. Every piece of scrap metal, every rubber tire, every ounce of material mattered. The government needed resources, and they needed a lot of them. This wasn't just a suggestion, it was a matter of national survival. Now, think about what it takes to fight a war. You need bullets. You need communication wire. You need parts for radios, ships, and airplanes. And guess what metal is perfect for all of that? Copper. It's an amazing conductor of electricity, and it doesn't corrode easily, making it essential for shell casings and wiring. The US military needed every last bit of copper they could get their hands on. So, the government started looking at where they could cut back. They looked at everything, and eventually, their eyes landed on something small, something everyone had in their pockets. The penny. For decades, the US penny had been made of 95% copper. It was a tradition. But in wartime, tradition takes a backseat to necessity. The amount of copper used to make billions of pennies each year was staggering. It was enough to make a real difference for the troops overseas. So, the US Treasury Department and the US Mint had to come up with a solution. They needed a new material for the 1-cent coin, something cheap, plentiful, and definitely not copper. They had to act fast to save that precious metal for the war. Their decision was a radical one. They decided to make the penny out of steel. It was a bold move, and one that had never been tried before for a circulating US coin. On January 1, 1943, the US Mint stopped using copper for pennies and switched to a new formula. This change created one of the most unique and recognizable coins in American history. It was a coin born from crisis, a tiny piece of the home front that told a big story about the sacrifices Americans were making to win the war. It wasn't just money, it was a symbol of shared effort. So, what exactly was this new penny made of? It wasn't just plain steel, which would rust in a heartbeat. The mint needed something a little more durable. They settled on a planche, or blank coin, made of low-carbon steel. To give it some protection against the elements and make it look a little more like a coin, they coated it with a thin layer of zinc. This gave the 1943 penny its famous silvery gray color. People weren't used to it. They called them silver pennies, white pennies, or steelies. It was a shock to see a penny that wasn't, well, copper-colored. From a technical standpoint, the coin was almost identical to its copper cousins in some ways, but very different in others. It had the same diameter of 19 millimeters and featured the same iconic design. Abraham Lincoln on the front, the obverse, and the two wheat stalks on the back, the reverse. This design, created by Victor David Brenner, had been on the penny since 1909. However, the new material made the steel cent lighter. A copper penny weighs 3.11 grams, but the steel penny weighs only 2.7 grams. It might not sound like much, but you could feel the difference in your hand. The process of making these coins was a challenge. Steel is much harder than copper. When the mint started striking the new steel planches, they found that the immense pressure required was damaging the coining dies. The dies, which are the stamps that create the image on the coin, were cracking and wearing out much faster than usual. This meant they had to be replaced constantly, which slowed down production. It was a real headache for the mint, but they had a war to support, so they pushed through, producing over 1 billion of these steel cents in 1943. The zinc coating was another problem. It was meant to prevent rust, but it wasn't a perfect solution. The thin layer could wear off quickly in circulation, exposing the steel underneath to moisture and air. Even worse, the edges of the coin were not always fully coated during the minting process. This meant that rust, or what we call corrosion in the coin world, could start to form almost immediately. Sweat from people's hands was enough to start the process. That's why finding a 1943 steel penny in pristine mint condition today is so difficult. Most of them saw hard use and didn't hold up well. In 1943, just like in other years, pennies were made at 3 different US mint facilities. Each mint produced the new steel cents, and you can tell where a coin was made by looking for a tiny letter called a mint mark. Knowing the mint mark is key to understanding a coin's rarity and value. For the Lincoln cent, the mint mark is found on the obverse, the head side, right below the year. It's a small detail, But in the world of coin collecting, small details can mean big money. The main mint in Philadelphia produced the largest number of steel pennies. In 1943, they churned out a whopping 684,628,670 of them. According to tradition, coins made in Philadelphia have no mint mark, so if you find a 1943 steel penny and there's no little letter under the date, you know it came from Philly. Because so many were made, the 1943 no mint mark penny is the most common of the three varieties. It's the one you're most likely to find when you're sifting through old change. The Denver Mint also got in on the action. Their coins are identified by a small D mint mark located under the date. In 1943, the Denver facility produced 217,660,000 steel cents. That's a lot of coins, but it's less than a third of what Philadelphia made. Because of this lower mintage, the 1943 D steel penny is considered slightly more scarce than its Philadelphia counterpart. Collectors are always on the lookout for a nice, clean example with a sharp D mark, as they tend to be a little harder to come by in good condition. Finally, we have the San Francisco Mint. These coins are marked with a small S under the date. The San Francisco Mint had the lowest production run of the three, making only 191,550,000 steel cents. This makes the 1943 S the scarcest of the three regular-issue steel pennies. For collectors trying to complete a set of 1943 steelies, the S Mint is often the last one they find. While none of the steel cents are truly rare, the 1943 S commands a slightly higher premium, especially in higher grades, simply because fewer of them were made to begin with. So why are people still fascinated by these little pieces of steel? It's not just about the money. A lot of it comes down to nostalgia and a connection to history. The 1943 steel penny is a tangible link to what many call the greatest generation. Holding one is like holding a piece of the World War II home front. It represents a time of immense struggle, sacrifice, and national unity. For many people, finding a steelie in their change is a little surprise, a reminder of their grandparents' stories, or what they learned about the war in history class. It's an everyday object that tells an extraordinary story. There's also the treasure hunting aspect. It's the thrill of the chase. You've probably heard stories about them, maybe a rumor that they're worth a fortune. While most circulated steel cents are not going to make you rich, the possibility of finding something special keeps people looking. This hobby is known as coin roll hunting, where people get rolls of pennies from the bank and search through them for old or rare coins. The 1943 steel cent is one of the top prizes they hope to find. It's a unique-looking coin that stands out immediately from all the copper ones. The unique appearance of the steel cent is a big part of its appeal. It just doesn't look like a penny. When you see that silvery glint in a handful of change, it catches your eye. This has led to all sorts of myths and legends about the coin's value, which only fuels the public's interest. People who don't know much about coins often think any steel penny is rare and valuable. This widespread belief means that more people are looking for them, saving them, and asking about them. It's one of the few classic coins that has truly broken into mainstream public awareness. And let's be honest, it's an accessible collectible. You don't need to be a wealthy collector with a huge budget to own a 1943 steel penny. You can buy a circulated one for less than $1, or you might even find one for free in your own pocket change if you're lucky. This low barrier to entry makes it the perfect gateway coin for new collectors. It sparks an interest in numismatics, the study of coins, and encourages people to learn more about the history behind the money in their pockets. It's a hobby that starts with a simple search and can last a lifetime. In the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. You know, a common coin in perfect condition can actually be worth thousands of times more than a rare coin in terrible shape. This is especially true for the 1943 steel penny. Experts use a grading scale from 1 to 70 to describe a coin's condition. A grade of 1 means the coin is poor, barely identifiable. On the flip side, a grade of 70 is mint state perfect, which means a flawless coin with no visible imperfections, even under magnification. For steel cents, the difference in value between a low grade and a high grade is massive. The biggest enemy of the steel penny is rust. That thin zinc coating was supposed to protect the steel core, but honestly, it often failed. As soon as the zinc wore off, the steel was exposed to oxygen and moisture, and rust would begin to form. That's why the vast majority of 1943 steel cents you'll find are in pretty rough shape. They might be dark gray or black, with spots of rust, pitting, and overall wear from being in circulation. These coins are typically in the good or very good grade range and are, well, very common. A coin in uncirculated or mint state, graded MS-60 and above, is one that never made it into people's pockets. It was saved in a roll or bag from the day it was made. These coins retain their original silvery white luster and have no wear. However, even uncirculated steel cents can have problems. The zinc coating was often applied unevenly, leading to dark spots or streaks. And because they were stored in canvas bags at the mint, they often have nicks and scratches, known as bag marks, from bumping against each other. Finding a truly high-grade steel penny is the collector's dream. A coin graded MS-65 or higher is called gem uncirculated. These coins have amazing luster, a sharp strike, and are nearly free of distracting marks. But, because of the poor quality control and the unstable nature of the zinc-coated steel, very few 1943 pennies meet this standard. A top population coin, say an MS-68, is incredibly rare, 1 in a million, maybe more. These are the coins that sell for thousands of dollars at auction because they represent a level of preservation that is almost impossible to find for this particular issue. Okay, let's talk about the bottom line. What is a 1943 steel penny actually worth? The answer really depends on two things: the mint mark and the grade. As I said before, condition is king. A rusty, beat-up steely you find in an old jar might only be worth 10 to 50 cents. It's a cool piece of history, but it's not going to pay your mortgage. Billions were made, and most of them ended up looking like this. So while they're fun to find, the common, circulated ones are not valuable from a monetary standpoint. As the condition improves, the value starts to climb. Let's look at an average uncirculated steel cent, something in the MS-63 to MS-64 range. These coins look nice and shiny and were never spent as money. A 1943 Philadelphia, with no mint mark, in this condition might sell for $5 to $10. The 1943 D from Denver is a bit scarcer, so it might fetch $8 to $15. The 1943 S from San Francisco, being the lowest mintage, could bring $10 to $20. These are affordable prices for a collector looking to build a nice set. This is where it gets interesting. Once you get into gem condition, which is MS-65 and higher, the prices jump significantly. That's because these coins are so much harder to find. A 1943 Philadelphia cent graded MS-65 could be worth $30 to $50. But find one in MS-67, and you could be looking at $200 or more. The 1943 D and 1943 S in gem condition are even more valuable. An MS-67 D or S can easily sell for several $100s, sometimes over $500, because so few survived in such pristine shape. At the very top of the pyramid are the super high-grade coins, graded MS-68. These are the best of the best, nearly perfect specimens. Finding a 1943 steel cent this nice is like finding a needle in a haystack made of needles. They are true rarities. A 1943 D steel cent in MSC68 has sold for over $20,000 at auction. The Philadelphia and San Francisco issues in this grade can also command five-figure prices. It just goes to show you that even with a common coin, exceptional quality can lead to an exceptional price. Now for the story that gets everyone excited, the legend of the 1943 copper penny. At the end of 1942, the U.S. Mint was switching its machinery over from striking copper planchets to striking steel ones. The official plan was that all 1943 cents would be steel. However, a few copper alloy planchets from the 1942 production run were accidentally left in the coining press hoppers. When the Mint started up production for the new year, these leftover copper blanks were struck with the 1943 date. It was a complete accident. For years, these coins were the stuff of myth. The U.S. Mint even denied their existence for a while. But then, they started turning up. A handful of them, discovered by sharp-eyed collectors, and even a few lucky teenagers. It's estimated that only about 20 to 40 of these error coins were ever made across all three mints. Compare that to the more than 1 billion steel cents that were produced. This makes the 1943 copper cent one of the most famous and sought-after rarities in all of American numismatics. It's the ultimate prize. So, what happens when you have one of the rarest coins in the world? The value goes through the roof. The first 1943 copper cent sold for a significant amount of money in the late 1940s, and the prices have only gone up since then. Finding one is literally like winning the lottery. In 1996, a 1943 D copper cent, the only one known to exist from the Denver Mint, sold for $82,500. Then, in 2010, that same coin sold for an incredible $1.7 million. It was the first Lincoln cent to ever break the $1 million barrier. Today, even a circulated lower-grade 1943 copper penny is worth a fortune. A genuine example in any condition will bring at least $100,000. A nice uncirculated one can be worth over $500,000. This incredible value has fueled the public's imagination for decades. It's the reason so many people check their change, hoping that they'll stumble upon that 1 in a billion error. It's a story that proves that in the world of collectibles, sometimes the biggest treasures come from the smallest mistakes. With the story of the multi-million-dollar 1943 copper penny out there, you can bet the fakes and forgeries are everywhere. A lot of scammers try to trick unsuspecting people. The most common fake is a 1948 penny that has been altered. A skilled counterfeiter can carefully shave off the right side of the 8 in 1948 to make it look like a 3. They target the 48 because the shape of the 8 is easy to modify. However, a close look with a magnifying glass will usually reveal tooling marks or an incorrect shape for the 3. Another common trick is to simply coat a 1943 steel penny with copper. People will use chemistry sets or electroplating to give a regular steely a thin copper wash. These are usually very easy to spot. The color often looks wrong, too bright or too reddish. The details might look mushy from the plating process. But the easiest way to expose this fake is with a simple magnet. A genuine copper penny is not magnetic. A copper-plated steel cent, however, will stick to a magnet instantly because of its steel core. This is the first test you should always perform. You also have to watch out for pennies from other years that have been altered. Some fakes are made by cutting a 3 from another coin and gluing it onto a 1942 or 1945 penny. These are often clumsy fakes that can be spotted with careful inspection. A genuine 1943 copper penny should also weigh the correct amount for a bronze cent, which is 3.11 grams. A steel cent weighs only 2.7 grams. If you have a precise scale, weighing the coin is another good test. Any coin that doesn't meet the weight standard is suspicious. Ultimately, if you think you have a real 1943 copper penny, you should not try to clean it or mess with it in any way. The first and only thing you should do is have it authenticated by a professional. You need to send it to a reputable third-party grading service like PCGS, or Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, which is Numismatic Guarantee Corporation. They have the expertise and equipment to determine if it's genuine. Don't take it to a pawn shop or a We Buy Gold place first. Get it certified by the experts. It's the only way to know for sure what you have. If you're thinking about collecting 1943 steel cents as an investment, my advice is simple: buy the best quality you can afford. As we've seen, the big money is in the high-grade, uncirculated coins. A bucket of rusty, circulated steelies isn't going to appreciate much in value. Instead of buying 100 circulated coins for $1 each, you're better off spending that $100 on a single, high-quality graded specimen from PCGS or NGC. These slabbed coins are authenticated, graded, and sealed in a protective plastic holder, which guarantees their condition and makes them easier to sell later on. When you're buying, focus on coins with good eye appeal. Look for specimens with bright, original luster and minimal distracting marks or spots. Even among coins with the same numerical grade, some will just look better than others. A clean, brilliant MS65 is a much better investment than a spotty, unattractive MS65. Take your time and examine coins closely before you buy. Building a matched set of all 3 mint marks, P, D, and S, in a consistent high grade is a great goal for a serious collector and a solid long-term investment. Proper storage is absolutely critical for steel pennies. Remember, their biggest weakness is rust. You have to protect them from moisture and humidity at all costs. The worst thing you can do is keep them in a damp basement or an old jar. For individual raw coins, use archival-safe 2x2 cardboard flips or inert plastic holders. These will protect the coin's surface from scratches and your fingerprints. For larger collections, store these flips in a dedicated album or storage box. For maximum protection, especially in humid climates, I recommend using silica gel desiccant packs. You can buy these online. Put a few packs in the box or safe where you store your coins. They will absorb excess moisture from the air and help prevent rust from forming. Check and replace the silica packs every few months. This is a cheap and easy way to protect your investment. A little bit of prevention is worth a pound of cure, especially when a single spot of rust can ruin a valuable coin's grade and cut its value in half. Taking care of your collection is taking care of your money.